Well, right now, central Indiana is still under a wind advisory that's in effect for at least another hour. Traffic is moving along okay this morning, but we do have that Arctic blast that could cause a few problems out there this morning.
So we are keeping an eye on the roads this morning. Our New Yorker is live on the roadways letting us know about drive cam. But glad that you're up with us here on this Thursday morning. The winds themselves will tell you that that is bad out there this morning.
It's gross. I hate it. So we are monitoring some power outages as well this morning, which that's pretty important, especially with the cold temperatures. So we know we're down to around 700, so they've certainly made good work of it overnight. At one point this morning, though, there were about 10,000 power outages.
Yeah, so things are looking a little bit better. As we said, we've got team coverage. You see those roadways. Our New Yorker is keeping a close eye on things, and our drive cam, we're going to check in with her in a few minutes. But as you can see, Chuck and Sean are standing by in the weather center this morning.
Guys, how long does this last?
Well, it depends on the definition of this.
Okay.
All
Good
of
answer.
it.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah. Well, certainly the wind advisory for another hour or so. But boy, the cold, Sean, all day long, right?
Well, we knew it was coming, but doesn't make it any more palatable, does it?
No. And as we head off to school, several things that we want you to take note of, because from now until midday, we've got these flurries around, but our wind gusts 30 to 40 miles per hour. It'll take your breath away out there. Some slick spots, and our wind chills now have been hovering between 0 and 10 below zero. And really, folks, I don't see that changing for at least 4 or 5 hours. These are the current wind gusts at Indianapolis International, 33. You will recall before you went to bed last night, if you watched Angela, at one point we had a 62 mile per hour gust and a sustained wind at 44. That's one of the reasons we have all of these power outages, and fortunately only 700 left. 14 right now out there, 19 in Richmond, 15 in Bloomington, and how about this for a wind chill? Feels like 4 below zero out there, so certainly make sure that the kiddos have everything covered, hands, face. And for those of you that are wondering, what about school delays? We don't have a lot today, so a lot of you are not going to have to worry about short-term childcare. If you are headed north, however, especially north of Peru, you're going to be driving into a winter storm warning that will be in effect really for several more hours, really throughout the day. Lake effect snow up at South Bend. So 15 by 10 a.m. We're going with a high later today of only 23 degrees. Wow, Sean, that is 21 degrees below average for this time of year. And it's why we could see some frozen spots on Bridge and Over.
Yeah, and that's what we'll have to keep close tabs there. We didn't have a whole lot of moisture, I'll say that. But the bridges and overpasses, because we've dropped so quickly, so fast, that we could see a few black ice spots here. But right now, speeds as you would imagine here if you're heading to the airport, and as Chuck mentioned, we've had some delays. North Split, again, you'll see the pavement there, for the most part, dry. We had a quick burst of snow a little bit after 10 o'clock, had a lot of wind with that, but that wind actually dried up a lot of the moisture, maybe not all of it. And so we're going to keep tabs again on the bridges and overpasses. For now, this is very subject to change because we're just kind of getting into the rush hour. No incidents around the metro. We've had this accident on 65 southbound, 9 miles southwest of Dayton. Again, southbound there, and we're starting to see a few backups. If you're traveling coming from Lafayette to the metro area. And then the bigger story, at least in the state, is the northern third of the state. This is where we've got some snow-covered roads. This carries over into Chicagoland, and this is going to be a big problem if you're traveling the toll road into southwestern lower Michigan because of the winter storm up there. Locally, let's get a check with Sia this morning. She's bundled up inside the car here. How are the roadways looking so far?
Yes, good morning. So, Sean, that snow went away, but those frigid temperatures, the wind is really gusting out here. We are exiting off 70 getting ready to get on 465. And traffic has picked up as we're getting closer to that rush hour traffic. And we've seen quite a few cars taking their time this morning. Really people just driving slowly and putting lots of room in between their car and other vehicles. Again, because the winds have really picked up. I've seen quite a few cars shaking, seen people slowing down. As you can see, when semi trucks pass by, just because the wind is very, it's blowing pretty heavily. So again, we want to tell people to slow down, take your time this morning. We've not seen that many slick spots. Thank goodness for that. But again, you just never know what you'll come up against as those temperatures continue to fall. So we're keeping our eyes on the roads for you, and we'll update you on air and online. Ladies.
All right, see you. Safe driving out there.
And meantime, NDOT, DPW, and AES Indiana say they are prepared to respond to any issues that this winter weather brings. DPW and NDOT are also reminding drivers, you heard Sia mentioning this, that some of those drivers are giving room between the other drivers. Do that, especially for these DPW vehicles that are out there treating the roads.
And you can always get up to the minute weather information on our weather app. It has interactive radar and vital information that gets pushes right to your phone. It's available on Apple and Google app stores.
Well, this morning, IMPD investigators are looking into how a crash turned into a deadly police shooting.
So right now, the officer involved is on administrative leave, which is protocol. This happened on Brooksville Way near Brookville Road and 465. Police say a man with a machete crashed into another vehicle with a man and woman inside. That man was hurt. The woman then got out of the car, and that's when the suspect actually attacked her with a machete.
The other victim, police say, was able to get out and run for help to a nearby business. Officers said they tried to get the suspect to drop the machete, but that he ran from them, and that's when an officer fired a shot.
Should never be the end to whatever's occurring in your life or whatever's occurring in any kind of relationship, especially deadly violence like this. We're lucky we didn't have a couple of our neighbors killed as a result of this person's actions.
Now, police do believe that suspect and the victims knew one another and that woman may have been in a relationship with the suspect. Fortunately, no officers were injured.
Oh, this morning, a family is without a home after a fire on the south side of Indianapolis. This was the scene along Edgecombe Avenue yesterday afternoon near Shelby Street and Sumner. Firefighters tell us that family of 5 was able to get out safely, thankfully, along with their pets. It took about 30 minutes to get that fire under control. The family is staying with relatives right now as firefighters look into the cause of this fire.
In just a few hours, the second officer accused in the death of Herman Whitfield III will take the stand in his trial. Officers Adam Ahmad and Steven Sanchez are facing charges for reckless homicide, involuntary manslaughter, and battery. In court yesterday, they heard from Officer Sanchez. He told the court about the day Whitfield died in their custody during a mental health call. Sanchez testified that he deployed his taser when Whitfield ran, quote, full speed at him. The officer said he didn't believe the taser actually connected, so he and the other officers went hands-on to subdue and handcuff Whitfield. He said while he had a hand on Whitfield, he never applied downward pressure and didn't see the other officers do that either. The prosecution has rested its case. Now the defense team will make their case. Closing arguments are expected by tomorrow morning.
Well, a man is awaiting sentencing after a jury convicted him in the murder of another man more than 2 years ago. The jury convicted Milton Porter of murder and unlawful possession of a firearm by a serious violent felon. In October of 2022, he shot and killed a man on East Washington Street between South Sherman and Emerson. Calvin Lawson Jr. was the man that died in that shooting. Witnesses told investigators that Porter showed up at Lawson's apartment for a fight. They told police that when Lawson stepped outside, Porter shot him and then took off. Porter will be sentenced next month.
Former Indiana Attorney General Curtis Hill will go to trial next week on sexual misconduct allegations. Now, this is just a civil trial. You might recall Hill was suspended from practicing law for 30 days while in office. He was accused of groping multiple women at a party. Now, Hill has denied these allegations. Our partners at the Capitol Chronicle report the judge hopes to have that jury seated by lunchtime Monday, with opening statements to follow in the afternoon. Of course, 13 News will be there during this civil trial.